Did you know that Braveheart's William Wallace wore kilts centuries before they were invented? Or that U-571's storyline was so off base it led to a presidential apology? Yes, that's right. Buckle up, because we're diving into 10 more movies that got history hilariously wrong. Welcome back to Mysteries Debunked. Today, we're continuing our journey through Hollywood's creative interpretations of the past. Grab your popcorn and get ready for some mind-blowing revelations as we explore 10 films that got history hilariously wrong. 10. Braveheart, 1995. Ah, Braveheart. The film that made men everywhere want to paint their faces blue and scream "freedom" at the top of their lungs. While Mel Gibson's portrayal of William Wallace is undoubtedly stirring, the historical accuracy of this epic tale is about as solid as a Scottish bog. Let's start with the obvious, those kilts. As much as we'd love to believe that 13th century Scottish warriors ran around in tartan skirts, kilts weren't actually invented until the 16th century. That's a fashion faux pas of about 300 years. Imagine showing up to a medieval battle wearing skinny jeans and a crop top. That's basically what Braveheart did. But the anachronisms don't stop there. Remember that touching romance between Wallace and the French Princess Isabella? Well, in reality, Isabella was about 3 years old when Wallace died. Talk about robbing the cradle! And let's not forget the Battle of Stirling Bridge, which in the movie mysteriously lacks a bridge. Despite these glaring inaccuracies, Braveheart remains a beloved classic. It just goes to show that sometimes, a good story and a charismatic lead can make us overlook even the most outrageous historical blunders. 9. The Untouchables, 1987. Next up, we have The Untouchables, a film that turns the real-life story of Prohibition agent Elliot Ness into a Hollywood action extravaganza. In reality, they never even met face-to-face. It's like claiming you have a heated rivalry with your neighbor when you've never actually spoken to them. 8. Gladiator, 2000. Are you not entertained? Well, historians certainly weren't when Ridley Scott's Gladiator hit the screens in 2000. This sword and sandal epic might have won hearts and Oscars, but it plays faster and looser with history than a chariot race with no rules. Let's start with our hero, Maximus. He's a compelling character, but he's about as historically real as a unicorn in a toga. The entire revenge plot is pure Hollywood invention. It's like claiming Julius Caesar was actually an undercover spy for the Gauls. Then there's Emperor Commodus. While the real Commodus was indeed a bit of a handful, he didn't kill his father and certainly didn't die in the Colosseum. In fact, he ruled for 12 years before being assassinated in his bath. Not quite as dramatic as a gladiatorial showdown, is it? And let's not forget the depiction of gladiatorial combat. The film portrays it as a bloodthirsty free-for-all, but in reality, gladiator fights were more like highly regulated sporting events. Think less fight to the death and more WWE with swords. Despite these historical fumbles, Gladiator remains a beloved film. U-571, 2000. Let's dive into the murky waters of U-571, a submarine thriller that takes more liberties with history than a pirate takes with the law. This film claims to be based on true events, but its relationship with historical accuracy is about as watertight as a submarine made of Swiss cheese. The movie's central plot revolves around American submariners capturing a German Enigma machine in 1942. There's just one tiny problem. The first capture of an Enigma machine actually happened in 1941 by the British. But the historical inaccuracies don't stop there. The film portrays the American Navy as the heroes who cracked the Enigma code. In reality, it was primarily British mathematicians and code breakers who did the heavy lifting. The movie was so off base that it actually prompted an apology from President Bill Clinton to the British government. Now that's what I call a diplomatic incident. Despite these glaring errors, U-571 remains a tense and exciting thriller. 6. 10,000 BC, 2008. And now for the crowning jewel of historical inaccuracy, we present to you 10,000 BC. This prehistoric adventure takes us on a journey so far removed from historical fact, it might as well be set on another planet. The film shows our prehistoric heroes encountering woolly mammoths in the desert. Now, I'm no paleontologist, but I'm pretty sure woolly mammoths weren't big fans of sand between their toes. It's like finding penguins in the Sahara. It just doesn't add up. The movie depicts the construction of the pyramids in 10,000 BC. That's only off by about 7,500 years. And let's not forget the diverse menagerie of animals that appear throughout the film. We've got saber-toothed tigers rubbing shoulders with terror birds, which went extinct millions of years apart. It's like a prehistoric version of Noah's Ark, but with a complete disregard for geological time periods. The cherry on top of this historically inaccurate sundae? The characters speak modern languages and use metal tools, neither of which existed in 10,000 BC. 5. Amadeus, 1984. Moving on to the world of classical music, we have Amadeus, a film that hits all the right notes, except when it comes to historical accuracy. This Oscar-winning biopic of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is about as factual as claiming Beethoven was a hip-hop artist. The movie's central premise, that Antonio Salieri was insanely jealous of Mozart and plotted his downfall, is pure fiction. In reality, Salieri and Mozart were more like frenemies than mortal enemies. They even collaborated on a cantata together. It's like portraying Lennon and McCartney as bitter rivals throughout their Beatles years. Then there's the portrayal of Mozart himself. The film depicts him as a giggling man-child with a fondness for potty humor. While Mozart did enjoy a good laugh, he was also a hard-working professional who took his craft seriously. It's like reducing Einstein to just his wacky hair and tongue-out photo. The movie also suggests that Mozart died penniless and was buried in a pauper's grave. In truth, while he wasn't rich, he was far from destitute, and his funeral was a modest affair, not the lonely pauper's burial shown in the film. 4. The Patriot, 2000. Let's march on to The Patriot, a Revolutionary War epic that takes more liberties with history than the Founding Fathers took with British tea. This Mel Gibson vehicle is about as historically accurate as claiming George Washington had a secret identity as a ninja. First off, the film's depiction of the British as mustache-twirling villains who burn down churches full of civilians is pure Hollywood fiction. While the British certainly weren't saints, they didn't go around committing war crimes willy-nilly. It's like portraying the American Revolution as a battle between Jedi and Sith. Then there's our hero, Benjamin Martin, loosely based on Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. The real Marion was a slave owner who fought Native Americans, a far cry from the noble family man portrayed in the film. The movie also plays fast and loose with timelines and battle tactics. The climactic battle at the end of the film is a mishmash of several real battles, with strategies that would have made actual Revolutionary War generals facepalm. While The Patriot is undeniably entertaining, its relationship with historical fact is about as stable as the tea in Boston Harbor. 3. Elizabeth, The Golden Age, 2007. Sailing into the Elizabethan era, we have Elizabeth, The Golden Age, a film that treats historical accuracy with all the respect of a court jester. This lavish costume drama is about as factual as claiming Queen Elizabeth I secretly moonlighted as a pirate. Let's start with the Spanish Armada battle. The movie shows Elizabeth giving a rousing speech to her troops at Tilbury, after the Armada had already been defeated. That's like giving a pep talk to your team after they've already won the Super Bowl. Then there's the portrayal of Elizabeth's relationship with Sir Walter Raleigh. While they were indeed close, the film cranks up the romance to soap opera levels. In reality, Elizabeth was in her 50s during these events, not exactly the youthful beauty depicted in the film. It's like casting a 20-something to play your grandma in a biopic. The movie also takes some wild liberties with fashion. The costumes, while stunning, are more fantasy than history. Elizabeth is often seen with her hair down, which would have been scandalous for a queen of that time. It's like showing Marie Antoinette in a tracksuit. 2. Inglorious Bastards, 2009. Marching into World War II territory, we have Quentin Tarantino's Inglorious Bastards, a film that takes historical accuracy, puts it in a blender, and serves it up with a side of dynamite. This movie is to history what a monster truck is to parallel parking. Wildly entertaining, but not exactly precise. The film's climax involves a plot to assassinate Hitler and other Nazi leaders at a movie premiere in 1944. It succeeds. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that's not how World War II ended. It's like making a movie where the Titanic dodges the iceberg and makes it to New York on time. Then there's the Bear Jew, a baseball bat-wielding soldier who strikes terror into the hearts of Nazis. While undeniably cool, he's about as historically accurate as a T-Rex in a top hat. The idea of an Allied soldier going around bonking Nazis on the head with a Louisville Slugger is pure Tarantino fantasy. Inglorious Bastards is a wild, revisionist romp through World War II. 1. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. Finally, let's sink our teeth into Bram Stoker's Dracula, a film that claims to be faithful to the original novel but takes more liberties than a vampire at an all-you-can-drink blood bank. First off, the movie invents a whole backstory for Dracula as a tragic romantic hero, complete with a lost love who looks exactly like Mina Harker. This is about as true to Stoker's novel as claiming Frankenstein's monster was just misunderstood and wanted to open a flower shop. Then there's the portrayal of Van Helsing, played by Anthony Hopkins as a slightly unhinged expert with a tendency to chew the scenery. In the book, Van Helsing is a calm, methodical professor. It's like turning Sherlock Holmes into a manic, sword-wielding action hero. Oh wait, that happened too. The film also takes some wild liberties with vampire lore. In one scene, Dracula walks around in broad daylight. In Stoker's novel, sunlight weakens vampires but doesn't destroy them outright. Still, a daytime strolling Dracula is about as faithful to the source material as a vegetarian werewolf. Despite these departures from both history and literature, Bram Stoker's Dracula remains a visually stunning and atmospheric film. And there you have it, friends! Our second episode of the top 10 movies that got history hilariously wrong. What is your favorite movie? Is there anything that surprised you? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your support helps us keep debunking mysteries. Until next time!